What's up, Taiwan? I'm Jeremy Olivier with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. World leaders and Middle East watchers are on edge over U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal for an American takeover of Gaza. That's as the U.S. Secretary of State appears to backtrack, insisting the president's real goal is to rebuild the war-torn territory. John Van Trieste has this report.
The usual veneer of diplomatic decorum hasn't worn away at the United Nations. But beneath the calm, the body is reeling from U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal to have the U.S. take over the war-torn Gaza Strip after the removal of its population. The UN Secretary General says this can't happen.
Any durable peace will require tangible, irreversible, and permanent progress toward the two-state solution, an end to the occupation, and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with Gaza as an integral part.
And the Palestinian envoy to the UN says it won't happen.
There is no power on earth that can remove the Palestinian people from our ancestral homeland, including Gaza.
It's not just the chambers of the UN that are pushing back against Trump's idea. World leaders are reacting with a mix of shock and disgust, and overall skepticism that the suggestion is anything more than bluster. Germany's president is one such leader.
Solche Vorschläge sind nicht nur völkerrechtlich inakzeptabel. Ich glaube auch nicht, dass sie eine ernsthafte Grundlage für die noch anstehenden Gespräche der regionalen Akteure mit der US-Administration sein werden.
Meanwhile, some analysts say it's a plan that could never work.
Well, my first reaction was that's Trump being Trump. There's no way in hell that this thing is going to work. It involves too many moving parts.
One of these parts is domestic politics. Trump's Republicans may have a narrow advantage in Congress now, but midterms are just 2 years away. And a sizable Arab-American voting bloc that may have been turned off by former presidential candidate Kamala Harris's Middle East policies in the last election could be reevaluating Trump. This bloc has significant influence in swing states like Michigan, which was key to Trump's re-election in 2024.
We've seen the Democratic Party do horrible things and allow Israel to do horrible things. And so, from somebody like Trump, we should only expect worse things.
We were looking to President Trump as someone who is genuinely intent on achieving long-lasting peace in the Middle East. That's what he committed to during his campaign. He signed the peace plaques when he was hosted in Dearborn. He made a statement to that effect that he is committed to achieving long-lasting peace in the Middle East. And to us as a community.
And some in Trump's orbit are already changing the narrative. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says Trump actually meant the U.S. will help with Gaza's reconstruction.
So in the interim, obviously, people are going to have to live somewhere while you're rebuilding it. It is akin to a natural disaster. So what he's very generously has offered is the ability of the United States to go in and help with debris removal, help with munitions removal, help with reconstruction, the rebuilding of homes and businesses and things of this nature, so that then people can move back in.
But even if the idea of a U.S.-run Gaza goes away, world leaders and observers can expect to stay on their toes over the coming years, as U.S. foreign policy looks to be turbulent under Donald Trump. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. Postal Service has lifted a temporary ban on packages from China. The brief ban came as the U.S. ended a policy allowing tax-free entry of Chinese packages worth $800 or less. Chinese online retailers, especially fast fashion brands, had used the exemption to help establish a sizable foothold in the U.S. market. The ban covered both the Chinese mainland and Hong Kong. Taiwanese Marines are being deployed to Taipei's Songshan Airport as the military works to bolster the capital's defense. It comes as the country reshapes its strategy amid growing threats from China. Jaime Okan reports.
Taiwan's military is revamping its defensive strategy for the capital, with a focus on strengthening security at Songshan Airport, the city's largest. On Wednesday, a military source revealed that Taiwan is deploying around 100 Marines to help boost security and protect the capital in the event of an attack from China.
Someone might actually try to take over from the airport down to the capital, and in that way take advantage of the geographic conditions of Taiwan, the positioning of neurologic centers of power, and the ability to reduce casualties and the possibility of escalation into real fight.
China claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has threatened to invade the country to bring it under its control. This is why Taiwan's military has made coastal defense of its islands a key part of its defensive strategy. One of the key strategic areas is the Danshui River estuary, home to a major port. If China captured this area, its forces could then use the river to move troops further inland to Taipei and Songshan Airport. Last year, Taiwanese authorities intercepted several small boats piloted by Chinese defectors, making landfall and some undetected. That's why the military is reassessing its strategy.
之前就已经有这些快艇，它有尝试想要从淡水河口这边来去做一些突防，凸显的是今天我们在防御上面的话，可能必须要有一些调整。北部这一边或许现在来看的话，会需要这海军陆战队的一个力量，它是快速反应部队，中共在这里有做一些快速突穿的状况。
Along with moving personnel, Taiwan's military is also reforming the 66th Marine Brigade, exchanging tanks and artillery in favor of advanced, more mobile drones. But analysts are skeptical that the changes will have a big impact.
But at the same time, I think we have to be careful not to be too much carried away with the enthusiasm of this type of new units being established, because the acquisition and procurement and the introduction of new field capabilities that are more technologically advanced in terms of drawing upon new available capabilities doesn't necessarily translate into effectiveness.
Marines have already started training on how to protect Songshan Airport, and the military has yet to comment on if this move is permanent. Every year, roughly 10 million passengers pass through Songshan Airport, which sits in the heart of the capital, making it a vital artery for connecting Taiwan with the rest of the world. While there are no signs of any imminent attack, the military here is doing everything it can to protect its center of power under any circumstances. Andy Xue and Jaime Okan in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's defense ministry reported 27 Chinese aircraft, 6 naval vessels, and 1 official ship operating around the country in the 24 hours leading up to Thursday morning. 23 aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait. These aircraft entered the northern, southwestern, and eastern parts of Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. The ADIZ is not Taiwan's airspace, but a buffer zone used for defensive purposes. Taiwan's military says it used aircraft, ships, and shore-based missile systems to closely monitor the Chinese jets. 3 Chinese military officers have been charged with providing national security information to China in exchange for paying back loans. It's yet another case in which current or former members of Taiwan's military have been prosecuted for spying for China. Chris Gorin reports.
A new scheme to attract spies for China. 3 active duty officers in Taiwan's military indicted for leaking national security information, allegedly handing it over to a man surnamed Huang, who was operating an illegal bank targeting financially vulnerable soldiers for loans. Unable to pay their debts, Huang offered to accept intel instead, which prosecutors say was then passed on to China. Huang himself remains on the run. It's another espionage case involving active or former military personnel, what authorities are calling an unfortunate trend.
那么少部分人因为利欲熏心背叛国家，这些行为是令国人不耻，也必须受到唾弃的。国军也会持恒的反情报教育跟速谍的专案清查。
哪些人会出入不良场所，会接触到相关的诱惑甚至于被掌握了小辫子，从此为中共所用他们都有一套的模式。
It's just one in a growing number of espionage cases involving members and veterans of Taiwan's military. Prosecutions for crimes related to spying for China have skyrocketed in recent years, from just 10 in 2022 to 64 last year, 2/3 of which involved current and former military personnel. In the early months of 2025, there have already been 2 other highly publicized cases. Those involved Taiwanese veterans who were paid not only to pass information to China, but were even planning armed attacks inside Taiwan to be carried out in the event of a Chinese invasion. Some experts say China's tactics are effective.
它可以布很多网嘛，然后这边收集一点，那边收集一点，然后它回去再整合分析，这样一定也有相当的情报价值啊。这个成本不会很高啊，几万块、几十万，我看上百万的都不太可能。
As the number of spying cases involving service members continues to pile up, many are calling for more scrutiny of the vulnerabilities within Taiwan's military ranks. Joseph Wu and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's economic growth is expected to surpass 3% over the next year, according to new government estimates. That would beat the global average for the second year in a row. The figure is lower than last year, though, when growth hit a 3-year high of 4.3% off the back of artificial intelligence and global demand for Taiwan's chips. Taiwan's economy is expected to face challenges in 2025 with the possibility of a trade war under Donald Trump. The US president has also floated the idea of tariffs on imported chips. China and Pakistan have vowed to strengthen their bilateral relationship during President Asif Ali Zardari's visit to Beijing.
I want them to know that Pakistan and China will always be friends, all-weather friends, no matter how many tariffs, how many issues come up in the world. I will stand, Pakistan people will stand with the people of China, and China, China, and China.
The two countries also signed 17 agreements on infrastructure and scientific cooperation. China's investments in Pakistan through projects under its Belt and Road Initiative total over $60 billion. During their meeting, President Xi Jinping urged Zardari to bolster security measures to protect Chinese citizens in Pakistan. It comes after multiple Chinese nationals were killed in a series of terrorist attacks there. An explosion inside a factory in Hsinchu has killed 2 employees and injured 19 others. According to a factory manager, the blast was caused by gas leaks inside some of its insulated pipes. Cadence Coranta reports.
Fire trucks and ambulances raced to this factory in Hsinchu after an explosion in the middle of the night.
目前的话，我们所了解是在大约凌晨3点左右的时候，因为在我们的一些保温管路发生气体泄漏而产生一个气爆，造成一个公安的意外。
The explosion so powerful that it killed 2 factory employees, with those injured rising from 14 now to 19, some with second-degree burns.
目前所知道的话，是有2位本国籍的员工罹难，总共有14位的话，包含有10位外籍的员工，这个已经送到附近医院就医。
Hsinchu's county chief also rushed to the scene, providing more details about the cause.
他初步判断是这个道生燃油的泄漏。
The fire caused by the explosion has been brought under control. It's the 5th blaze at this factory in 6 years, with some residents in the area telling CNA they fear the factory is a ticking time bomb as authorities investigate the cause of this latest explosion. Factory officials have apologized for the explosion and promised to provide support to the families of the employees who were killed. Ryan Wu and Cadence Coranta for TaiwanPlus.
2 foreign crew members of a Taiwanese fishing ship have been killed after falling overboard off Taiwan's western coast. Police investigating the incident suspect the 2 men fell because of strong winds and waves. One of the workers was from China and the other from Indonesia. Taiwan operates one of the largest distant fishing fleets in the world and relies heavily on migrant labor. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, take a look at the world's first genetically edited polo horses bred in Argentina. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.
I'm Joyce Dunn in Washington, D.C., and you're watching TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.